We're going to talk about adjacent angles. So first thing you need to know is the word adjacent means next to. It's not overlapping. It means they're touching each other, but they're not overlapping. So let's take a look at adjacent angles. And adjacent angles have to have three things. They need to share a vertex. They need to not overlap. And they need to share a side, which is really one of the rays of the angles. So let's take a look at some examples. So adjacent angles, if I have that angle and that angle, these two angles are adjacent to each other because they share a vertex, they share a side, and they do not overlap. Notice this one's all over here, and the other one is all over here, and they do not overlap. So let's take a look at some examples of ones that are not adjacent, but some people get messed up. So let's say I have this angle and this angle. So we're looking at this angle and this angle. So those do share a vertex, and this clearly does not overlap with this. But what we're missing is that they don't share a side. So if you look, this side and this side are not shared with anybody, and this is not shared with anybody, and that's not shared with anybody. So there's no sides that they share. So these are not adjacent. Looking at some further examples of ones that are not not adjacent, sorry. Those two angles are not adjacent. They share a side, sort of. They sort of share that side. They do not overlap. They don't overlap, but they definitely don't share a vertex. They have two vertices. So those are not adjacent. And we can get all sorts of different examples. Of course, these are not adjacent because they don't share a vertex. They don't overlap, but they actually do way up high. But they don't overlap. They don't share a side. They just don't have anything that really would make them adjacent at all. Now, this one's probably the most difficult one. So if I have this angle and this angle, so I'm talking about this big angle and this angle, the purple angle and the blue angle. Well, the purple angle is all of this, and the blue angle is all of this. And these share a vertex, and they share a ray. This side belongs to both the angles, but they overlap, and so they are not adjacent. They are not adjacent. So if you remember, adjacent angles share a vertex, share a side, and do not overlap. That's all there is to adjacent angles.